Welcome back to my channel, everyone. Today I'm starting a new series and it's going to be called Junk Mail to Happy Mail, and basically what I'm going to be doing is taking mail like this Victoria's Secret flyer and turning it into some Happy Mail. You can see here that this piece of mail had like a envelope on the outside and then a fold out piece on the inside. So basically what I did was just use that as my base and then covered it up with like scrapbook paper to make it look pretty, of course, and then added on all of my embellishments. Right now I'm in a sustainability class and it's really got me thinking about how I can reduce my waste and, recycle things. So I thought this would be a great way to use up that junk mail that we all get. We all get mail that we just end up throwing in the trash or hopefully recycling. But you don't have to wait for something to come that's this pretty and already decorated for you or has some innovative way or like a pull-out thing like I have here. Just use what comes. Even just use the envelopes if you can't use the paper inside of it. Just use the envelopes and decorate the envelopes or something like that. I think this is a really great way to recycle stuff without throwing it into the recycling bin. Like, this is something pretty and can be sent to make somebody else's day brighter. While it might have annoyed you, you can turn it around and give it a new life. On the front of my envelope here, I just used some paper to cover up the marketing that was on there, and then I used these Tim Holtz letters to spell out hello, and then all around that I just used a bunch of these paper flowers and punches I had. So on the bottom of the front, I guess you could call this, I'm just pulling off the glue that was on there holding the envelope shut, and then I'm going to be adding a cupcake liner to kind of frame the bottom corner or edge of the envelope. You'll see here in a second how I place it so just the edges show. But I put that on there, and then in the center I'm using my punch to punch out a heart, and then you'll also see me punch out a scallop circle. You see my punch there? I use that to make a bunch of different size scallop circles. And here's my trick. Because the outside of the envelope has this paper with like a shiny texture on it, I wanted to bring that same look onto the inside of the envelope, so I used my black embossing powder to do that. I just inked up the edges with some Versamark ink, and then I shook the powder over it. I had to do it twice because I didn't get an even look you can see here the first time, but it doesn't really matter, you can't really tell at all. I just had to give it a few seconds to cool down a little bit, and then I was able to punch out the word love with my punch, which didn't go through all the way. I had to use my X-Acto knife to kind of finish the cutting, but I ended up being able to just pull it out and then stick it down onto the cupcake liner. And don't worry if your punches or your words or die cuts, whatever, break in half. You can just glue them down and push them together. Nobody's ever going to know the difference. Here I'm just scraping off some of that excess glue that was kind of sticking outside of the word, and then I just glued the cupcake liner down so you couldn't see the words, but you could see the edges and the ruffles of the cupcake liner. And then I just put a bunch of these little pearls all around the page, and I used them a lot on the rest of the envelope flip book as well. This is the paper pad I used to cover up most of the flip book. I thought it went pretty well, and I got it at Walmart for only like $5. It was pretty cheap. This back page I obviously didn't have to cover with paper because it was just being taped down to the back anyways. I just taped that down, and then I was ready to decorate all of the other pages, which I ripped off an extra one because there were so many pages. I think there was like at least 8, and I thought that was a lot to decorate, so I ripped one off, and I think there's only 6 now. For this first page, I'm just using this packaging on the front of it, and since I didn't like the color of it, I just used my ink to cover it up, and it was kind of glossy, so the ink didn't absorb very well, so I just used my rag to kind of smush it around, and then I used my heat gun to make sure it was dry before I stuck it onto the paper. I'm using a silver Sharpie to go around the edges. At first I used a Cricut marker, but it wasn't working very well, so I just used a Sharpie to go around the edges and give it a more defined look. And then of course I'm just sticking some embellishments down on there. I have a butterfly, a tag, and then this cute deer that my Aunt Nancy sent me. And then I have a fine and dandy little embellishment, and I just used my Sharpie to go around the edges like I did on the big backing piece. Oh, I guess I took off the butterfly. That's sad because I really liked that. But this embellishment is also from my Aunt Nancy, and it's just a little camera on a circle. She made a bunch of these for me, and I think they're so cute, and I think I'm going to make my own also. Like I said earlier, I'm just adding a bunch of pearls around the page to make it look pretty. Even though the ink on this was pretty much dry, my fingerprints were still coming up on the back of it, so I just used some dry shampoo to kind of give it a coating and make sure that my fingerprints stopped coming up on it because it was getting annoying. I wasn't able to cover up the entire envelope with one sheet of paper, so I do have a crease there, and I'm just using some washi tape to cover it up and kind of hide it a little bit. Sorry about the awkward angle this is filmed at. I just figured out how to place my tripod so it's directly over what I'm making and it's not tilted at like this weird angle. So the next video will definitely be a lot better for you guys. On this next page here, I'm just layering up some paper scraps, and then I'm using some Mombi stickers I have. I'm just using this one that says Love Ya on it, and I'm putting it down on some white paper to kind of give it a border because these are kind of those clear backed stickers. So I wanted to give it a border before I stuck it down on those paper scraps. Giving it that border makes it look less like a sticker that I just kind of stuck down on there for no good reason, and it makes it look more like purposeful, and I like the look better. I used that scallop punch again to punch out a bunch of different sized circles. This punch is really cool because you can make the big one, the medium sized one, and then the smallest one and stack them up together and make flowers out of it, which I think is pretty cool. But here I'm just using the rings and kind of just scattering them around the page, and then I also added on some of those paper flowers as well. I'm just finishing up this page with some more of those pearls, and then I'm moving on to the next page, which I stamped out this cute girl image onto some white paper. I got her from my Aunt Nancy. I know I get a lot from my Aunt Nancy, but that's because she's really cool. I had a hard time doing it, so I had to use my Stamp Perfect. If you're having a hard time stamping like me, just use a Stamp Perfect, a Misty tool, or make your own. There's lots of videos here on YouTube, but use that and see if that helps you at all. But I just stamped out the girl, and then I colored her in with my fake Copic markers, which are just basically like Recollections, and I think it's another brand that I just use, and I don't know, they work. And if you didn't catch on, I am using my Versamark ink and my black embossing powder. I used it on the rest of the flip book, so I thought it would be a good idea if I kept using it. And like magic, she is all cut out and ready to be put onto the page. To give my girl some grounding, I'm just adding on that paper that I used on the front of the envelope, and then I wanted to add on these stickers that spell out best friends you'll see here in a second, but they didn't really fit within that framing. Like, you see how that edge right there of the girl kind of ends right like in the middle of the page? Those stickers didn't fit within that space, so I just added on another scrap of paper so I could move the girl over without it looking weird. Below the words there, I'm just adding on more of those paper flowers and then some of those scallop circles. My camera cut out here so you weren't able to see me finishing what it looks like, but you can see up in the corner there that it's just some circles and some flowers. On this next page, I just added on some washi tape and a doily, and then I'm adding on this cute tag with some foam tape to give it a little bit more of dimension. And then I'm also adding on this piece of ephemera. I can't remember what it says, but it's just a little banner below the girl. I'm layering up those scallop circles again, and I wanted a silver one, but I don't have any silver paper, so I just used my silver Sharpie to color it in. I'm using another one of those clear stickers, and since I wanted a border like the other one, I just put it down on some black paper and cut around it. I didn't know what to put on that black and white striped paper, but I finally found an idea. I used my hexagon punch to punch out a bunch of different hexagons in different colors, and I just created a pattern along there. And then because it would be kind of boring if I just left it the way it was, I added on some chipboard word stickers onto some of the hexagons just to give it something interesting to look at. There's only 2 more pages left, so sit tight. This video was over 2.5 hours long, but I trimmed it down into like 12 minutes for you guys. I used my embossing powder again to stamp out these hot air balloons, and I stamped them out on some pink paper so that the lines in between the hot air balloon weren't like white. I wanted them to be pink. The smaller hot air balloon I stuck down onto this vellum tag, and I actually ended up sticking it down with just some a small amount of tape so that my Aunt Nancy, who I'm sending this to, could pull it up and use it on one of her own pieces. I have this Tim Holtz washi tape with like those, you know, those fancy word stickers that everybody uses. This washi tape pretty much looks like that, so I just cut them out individually and stuck them on there in between the hot air balloons. I use this tape in a bunch of different areas on this flipbook if you didn't notice, but that's what this is. It's just that Tim Holtz washi tape. I had a bunch of these hexagons left over from the other page, so I just glued those down, and then I added on my embellishments on top of that. I also added on some washi tape across the top there because you can kind of see like there's a change in the pattern. I had to use a sheet of paper cut in half to cover up the page because I didn't have enough like one full sheet, so I just used washi tape to blend that in. And then you can see here what I did on top of those hexagons. I just added on more of those scallop circles, paper flowers, and the embellishments I had pulled out. So that is all the pages decorated. I'm just moving on to decorating the bottom of the envelope here. Before I added on that happy sticker, I wanted to layer up more of my paper scraps because I like the look of it and I did it on all the other ones, so I wanted to continue with that. So I just stuck this happy sticker down. I got it at Michael's and I also just bought some hollow ones, so I'm really excited to use those. But around this sticker, I just added on some tassels I cut out of that paper there, and I just stuck them around kind of in a weird fashion, and then of course I added on some pearls as the finishing touch. So that is the entire flip book decorated. I was just figuring out how to keep it shut, and I ended up using 2 clothespins, like mini clothespins, and then a paper clip on the edge to keep it shut. I'm really sorry you guys, I forgot to take pictures of this, so I don't have any finishing pictures, but I did grab some screenshots from the video so you guys can see what it looks like up close, but they're really bad quality. But still, I hope this video inspired you guys to make something out of your junk mail, and if you do make something, post it on Instagram with the hashtag junkmail to happymail because I want to see your creations. So thanks for watching guys, I will see you in the next video.